So let's begin first about the scrutiny about the handling of the Nigeria's economy by President Bola Tinubu's team. So today, the Senate has confronted the president's economic team over poor implementation of the 2025 budget. Unrealistic assumptions of the proposed 58.7 trillion naira budget as it raised the possibility of reducing the 2026 budget proposal during a tense budget defense session before the Senate Committee on Appropriations. A key concern for several lawmakers is the widespread complaints of non-funding of the 2025 budget by the MDAs, and some would describe the exercise as one of the worst budget defenses in recent times, highlighting unpaid contractors, controversial centralized payment system, inadequate capital releases, and a rising debt profile as hugely worrisome. But let me allow you to listen to how the senators engage the president's economic team. These were some of the questions posed to them.
Those issues in the front burner is the funding of 2025 budget. And I'm coming now in 24, which the president has promised that it will be funded 30% by 31st of March. By 31st of March, nothing is done. What do? So we have to still move that money again into 2026. And we have asked the direct question.
The recurring complaint is non-release. Almost zero implementation or performance. That is very sad. So he has already said so. You need to speak to it. The other issue is you talked about shortfalls. I mean, because budget is an estimate about what you expect to get and what you think you might spend. If you don't get, you may not be able to spend. But Nigerians need to know specifically. I don't know if you said so before. I would like you to be specific about the shortfall in terms of percentage and in terms of the real figures.
Those are some of the questions posed to the president's team. They have their own answers. Particularly, this one caught my interest. Is the one from the chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service, Dr. Zach. I didn't take a listen to him.
Is budget not being funded? And the answer is also used in this room. It is what I think, by God's grace, we will correct this year. Budget funding comes from realistic budgets. It's not in the quantum of the budget. It is in the amount you can carry out. And I will put it in perspective. If what we think we have is 10 naira, you told me that what you have this year is 10 naira, I will go and buy one cap, one shirt, one shoe, and one slippers. But if you give me the impression that I have 100 naira, the first 10 naira I can use it to go and buy 10 caps. No shirt, no trouser. Thinking that when the next one comes, I will use it for shirt and the other one will never come. And I have problem of even the cap, I can't wear it because I can't go out naked. And that is the question. The new realistic way of budgeting that we started now, let's just go on with it.
Well, let's tell you, a development that gets our attention tonight also, as well as the issues of the budget, is the fact that President Bola Tinubu has ordered the immediate direct remittance of oil and gas revenues to the Federation account, suspended the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited's collection of management and frontier exploration fees. The directive, containing a sweeping executive order by the president, also orders the deduction of gas flared penalties and mandates that taxes, royalties, and profit oil under production sharing contracts be paid directly to the appropriate fiscal authorities, effectively blocking deductions at source. The federal government says the move is aimed at safeguarding revenues, strengthening fiscal transparency, and realigning oil income flows with constitutional provisions. The action comes amid concerns over declining inflows into the Federation account despite improved production levels and favorable market conditions. Let me help you make sense of these and what it means and the implications, of course. I'm being joined by an economist, Dr. Paul Alaje, who is live for us. He's a chief economist and partner at the SPM Professionals. Thanks so much, Dr. Alaje, for your time tonight.
Thank you so very much for having me.
It does look like it's not only the senators or Nigerians that are having issues with budget implementation. And those questions a lot of people might want to ask, they ask, it's not all of the engagement that we're able to put on television, but you could hear the questions and the concern about budget implementation. What are the concerns? What are the problems? Why the implementation problem is hurting the economy? Are you satisfied, for example, with Zach Adedeji's explanation on some of the issues with regards to implementation of the budgets?
I must say, to discuss what a budget means is a proposed spending and proposed revenue. That's proposed expenditure and proposed revenue of a government. Now, it is expected that the budget office would have done a careful review of what is expected before discussing what we are going to spend. I would like to say that most people in the room are culpable. You see, 2025 budget, what was sent to National Assembly was not what was passed, even though it was mildly increased. We have seen in Nigeria where nearly 10 to 20% of budget sent to National Assembly was added. I don't want to use the word added, and returned back for implementation. Most of the things that are initially implemented will include direct transfer to legislature, among other agencies of government. Nobody really thinks where will the money comes from. Here is it. You notice that over the years, at least in the last 16 years that we have watched this economy, capital expenditure has never at any time been fully implemented. It became a major challenge in the last 12 years, where capital expenditure is getting in the real sense. I'm not talking of budgetary allocation or let's do 70-30. Of the 30% out of the 100%, so we have 100% of budget. Most of the time, 70% goes to recurrent expenditure, 30% goes to capital expenditure. We have years where we have done less than 20%. Now, at the end of the year, this perhaps is, I don't want to say first time, but a first time where we have a wider coverage of budget performance. What we have done before is how much was released, which is still what we are doing. Now, even at this release level, we are not even talking of implementation yet. How much was done? What we see most of the time is that in spite of the 30% allocated to capital expenditure, talk less of recurrent expenditure, that 30%, we don't do it awesomely. At the end of the day, when we recalculate, we see that what we have allocated to capital in some instances is only 10%, 5%, sometimes 15%. So why are we wondering that we have a lot of roads that are not constructed? We have a lot of schools that are dilapidated. And this is not just federal. States are also culpable. We have a lot of zones that one would have expected that with the kind of revenue we have received, that NNPCL as claim has been realized, and the kind of food that we have sold, why are these things not leading to, why are they not transforming our life and our nation? I saw what the health minister said regarding what got to him, the minister of transport, regarding the percentage that got to him. The question is, how can we have this kind of meager amount going to key agencies and expect development of our nation? The answer is we may be daydreaming that will happen. This is what we need to do. We need to wake up. What can we afford? What do we have? How do we boost what we are generating right now, either as direct taxes or indirect taxes, or either as alternative revenue mobilization, so that we can boost what's happening to our economy? The question I have, though, is that we have heard at a time that we have even surpassed our revenue targets. Truly we have. Where did all this money go? For the same 2025, we said we have had a lot of achievements. The question I have today is that why is it that agencies of government that are supposed to receive this revenue are saying that we did not get them? And this is the question National Assembly must ask. Because on one hand, we know that revenue has been generated. I remember that I had this discussion with you on your show when I think the president spoke with some of the CPC members, and when other members had mentioned that revenue have been generated. Today, maybe not today, maybe since last week, from what is coming out from the National Assembly, it gives a lot of worry to wonder where exactly are these revenue going into.
Dr. Alaje, I mean, there's a lot of Nigerians who will be worrying, paid due payment to contractors. We are hearing that we have made more money, there's more revenue, more money going to the state, but yet there is no 2024 budget, 2025 budget, even 2026 budget. There are problems with the implementation. But give me a moment, Dr. Alaje. We go on a break, but when we come back, more on this budget matter and the executive order that the president signed, the implications, and of course, I will be taking our viewers to Osun State, where there is a major controversy unfolding over an alleged 13 billion annual payroll fraud. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Join us again. So much, everyone, for staying with us. Dr. Paul Alaje is an economist and he's been speaking with us on the program tonight. So there seems to be an error in the handling of the economic situation by the economic team. And you could see the manner in which the senators engaged. They're also worried. A lot of people seem to be lost at the loss on what exactly is going on. More money is coming in, but yet you are unable to fund the budget with it. Then we are having carryovers from 2024 to 2025, 2025 to 2026. And it's delayed and it's messed up implementation, and there is no way you want to achieve your campaign agenda or your campaign promises when you are not adequately funding projects. MBAs and ministers are complaining, agencies of government are complaining, but how do they fix this thing? There are those who say our budgeting system has to change, but it is fundamentally beyond that. Don't you think, Dr. Alaje?
Yeah, clearly speaking, I think it's fundamentally beyond that. So we have agencies of government that are working at both edges. They are working, instead of working like cutlasses, they are working like, so first, subsidy is gone. So there is more revenue that is coming in from NNPCL, even though that, as we now have another bottleneck, which I think the president's EU, that's executive order today, tried to resolve. We have the what's it called, the NRS, that is now saying that we are going to do even over 40% more. Recall that last year, the same 2025, NRS shot above more than the goal. It's beyond expectation. The National Assembly appreciated the NRS team, then FRS, that you have surpassed the target that we gave to you. You gave yourself extra target, and also there are revenues. The question is, where is the money? Here's what I think we should do. We need to be transparent. This is public sector. Whatever comes into government, I think for public sector, should be published. And when it is published, it's important for us to know that the Auditor General of the Federation, which is, you don't want to say how much went to Auditor General of the Federation. Honestly, it will make your heart bleed. But Ajaokuta, that is dysfunctional. A dysfunctional agency is getting revenue. Is getting an allocation. Meanwhile, an agency of government that will even show us our past so that we can know how to plan for our future. In the name of Auditor General's office, little or nothing is allocated to such agency, and it just for a lot of worry. So if you are not transparent, if you are not willing to allow ourselves to look at the key areas where we have concerns today, I'm afraid that we might not be able to get it even much better in the coming period. The states are saying that, people, the way we are talking about the federal, to be sincere with you, is not really very different from what we are discussing in the state. What I think President Tinubu and his team should do immediately is one, take a picture of the situation. Having done that, what are the loopholes? Where are the holes in what has turned your bucket of revenue to a basket? One of them is NNPCL deduction. Who does that? You are now a commercial entity. Please operate as a commercial entity and don't wear one cap of government and the other cap of commercial entity. So that it's even affecting a major commercial enterprise that is helping with the stability of our currency. I'm talking of Dangote refinery there. So here is the point. It's important, it's very necessary that the key agencies of government that we have some of these concerns, of course, we find a way to block these holes so that we can improve overall thing that is going to the federal government this moment today, and by extension to the rest of the federation.
The executive order, it does look like President Tinubu wants to see the money in one pot. I want to see my money. I don't want it to be removed in any other way. I'm just putting it in the most layman language and perspective for our viewers to understand. That money, the revenue coming from linked to the NNPC from oil sector, it says goes to one pool and one pot and is able to see it directly and is not deducted as it's been deducted before, but makes sense of it all for us. Is it of an advantage to us? And what exactly do you think may have caused this decision by the president?
This President Tinubu will have courage to implement what he said today. For gross revenue, nearly half or more of what goes to NNPCL is actually deducted. One, we have management fee of NNPCL Limited, we have retained earning, we have frontier electricity, exploration fund, and environmental reduction contribution. All of these are subtracted before it gets to the federation account.
Dr. Alaje, the president is going back to the law, the Petroleum Industry Act, to implement and enforce it. But how effective will this executive order be? We know that that sector is a very notorious, a very stubborn sector to be able to handle. We assume that the president himself is the Minister of Petroleum Resources, but is he looking up in the manner in which he's handling things as regarding the petroleum sector and the revenues, huge production that we have experienced in the last few months?
This is one of the best policies the president is implementing, and these are some of the key areas. When the president came to office and I was asked for advice, one of the things the president should do, I said, is to push reform. The first thing is not to remove subsidy. The first thing should be to reform NNPCL and method of revenue collection and disbursement. NNPCL is not Ministry of Finance, no. NNPCL is not Central Bank of Nigeria. NNPCL is a commercial entity and must operate as one. And I am happy that the executive order, the EU, has been passed, has been signed. What we want is that the president's capacity to say what is signed as executive order under his own administration. If it does not, it will just be media mention and nothing will really change. Until we do this, we will be mentioning several millions of naira, billions of dollars, I beg your pardon, that's supposed to come into the Nigerian as a federation, but unfortunately, it might not have as much impact as it should. And this is one of those several agencies of government that government needs to quickly wake up and do something on. See, taxes alone, for a country with our population, for a country with our kind of resources, taxes alone is not what government relies on. So taxes are important, they are fine, but they are not the only thing we are going to rely on as a nation. One of the things to rely on is optimization of revenue that comes from NNPCL, among other key agencies of government. And I hope that in the coming period, the president will go beyond just signing this executive order, but it still will ensure the implementation of the same. This is one of the key policies I was expecting from him because of the impact it will have in the life of the people. This is one note. So generating money does not mean it's being disbursed. Now, what should we do with revenue? First, key agencies of government, including Nigerian Railway Corporation. How do we connect the markets markets and farms together? How do we connect industrial area together? This is the key role of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, so that key agencies of government, including the railway, including Ministry of Education, Health. You know, it is disappointing that our Minister of Health will speak on national television on how he has been stripped of revenue. Speaks a lot to our health. So you should not be surprised that the National Assembly came some weeks before testifying or mentioning why somebody died because she had a snake bite. The question is, can our ministry have that kind of money and we said that there will be drugs? So our system needs a complete reset.
All right.
As a matter of fact. So declaring state of emergency should not just be on security. On the economy of Nigeria, how do we reset it? As finance people, we need to put up a thinking cap. We need to audit ourselves and ensure that we do the best for our nation and, of course, Nigeria today.
Dr. Paul Alaje, always a pleasure. Very refreshing to have you speak on this issue. Sometimes it's always very it could lead to migraine headache when you start thinking about some of these problems, because money matters are always crucial matters. But thank you so much indeed for your insight tonight, Dr. Paul Alaje,
Thank you so
an
much for
economist
having
and
me.
the chief economist at the SPM Professionals. Thanks so much indeed for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.